Okay, very good. Uh, so we stopped here. Yeah, we talked about Juran's trilogy and we discussed it in details. Now we are here at the quality approach to quality management. So common errors made when starting quality initiatives include senior management delegation. So we discussed that senior management, if they are not delegated and involved in quality improvement and quality management, is not going to happen. We discussed that actually the quality improvement should start from the. Sure, I can absolutely do that. Is it better now? Is it better? Can you hear me loud and clear? Can everybody hear me? Okay. So yes. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I try to speak louder. So yes, it includes senior management. So senior management, if they are not participating and delegating themselves into quality improvement, it's not going to happen and materialize. And team mania, we discussed that. We basically need the team spirit and team concept to work and make the service quality happen. So it's basically how we communicate with each other, how we, liaise with each other, and then the deployment process. We discussed that quality improvement is always regarding the deployment and the processes. There are a bunch of processes that are not working well, a bunch of processes that are okay. So we have to be dealing with everything in a process version. So in a process there are steps, and those steps, some of them are okay, some of them have to be changed. So we need to change those processes and improve them into a version that helps the whole process. And then a narrow dogmatic approach. So basically you need to narrow down when you are when you're dealing with quality, you need to focus and narrow down everything into small chunk sizes, and that is going to help you to improve the exact process that has problem. And the dogmatic approach means that when you focus, you're able to tell the facts and the details on that very single step of the process. So first you narrow it down and you do a dogmatic approach. And then confusion about differences among education, awareness, inspiration, and skill building. So sometimes there are confusions about the differences among education, like how you educate and train your staff, like what type of education, what duration, what would be the purpose of education, then awareness of the employee. So when you're doing the quality management, you need to make the employee and the staff aware of the processes, everything is happening. They need to be involved and they need to know exactly the details. And then inspiration, they have to be inspired. If the employees and people involved in quality management are not inspired to do so, basically it's not going to happen because it takes a lot of involvement. It's like any activity that entails a lot of involvement from the employees needs a very high level of inspiration. So if your employees are not inspired enough, how would they be able to actually perform? You know, so you definitely want to inspire your staff and employees. You definitely want to do that, especially when it comes to quality improvement. You want to make sure that they are involved and inspired. And finally, this all leads into their skill building, and they build the skills required to do the quality management improvement. So total quality approach to quality management. The trends affecting the future of quality management includes demanding global customers, shifting customers' expectations, opposing economic pressures, and new approaches to management. So global customers, you know, when you consider yourself and your business as a business that is just performing locally, it's you are just comparing yourself with the local product or service providers. But nowadays, customers have access to products and services from all over the world. Like look at you in a class. You're listening to a lecturer talking to you from like California. You are all in different places in different cities. So the market, the technology has made a lot of things possible. So if a company, or like let's say in this example, a school, considers that the only market that it's serving is the local market, and the only students they have is the local students, and don't think about the students, that they have other options, they're going to lose their market. So what we see here is that everything is expanded to the global level, which means that the customers are global, and also the companies that serve the customers are global. So both ways, they have shifted and changed. So now for quality improvement, you've got to be comparing yourself to everyone all over the world in the same business. You can't just say, okay, I'll focus on this area, on this group, or I'll focus on that group. So, and the customer's expectation, of course, changes, because when you have these different realms of products and services and different providers, the customers have much broader expectations, much higher expectations. They expect you to perform under the standards of like international global companies. So you can't just provide with the level of standards that are acceptable locally, because you are not only competing with the local companies, but with the international companies. And then opposing economic pressures. So economic pressures in different respects. We just had the crisis. We had all these different influences of the economy. We discussed all these in the business economy class. Different economic pressures, the demand, the quality, the supply, different trends in the market. All these play a role in total quality management. And finally, there is new approaches to management. We discussed that like previously, traditionally, was only the bottom-up approach of management. Sorry, the top-down approach. Now is like different techniques. We have different types of management, and that all has translated into different methods and different ways of quality management. So, the quality and global competitiveness, the relationship between quality and competitiveness, cost of poor quality, competitiveness in the U.S. economy, factors inhibiting competitiveness, comparisons of international competitors, and human resource competitiveness. So, we discussed in our business strategy class a lot about competitiveness, about competitive advantage, like what brings competitive advantage. One of the most important factors that brings in competitiveness is quality. So quality and competitiveness are very much interrelated, because when it comes, no matter in what part of the grid of the competitive advantage you are, whether you are a cost driver, whether you are a focus driver, whether you are a hybrid, no matter what, your quality is at stake. Because end of the day, when customers are going to buy, let's say you are a company that is trying to reduce the cost the lowest possible. So you are a low-cost driver, and then your quality, of course, is less than those unique products out there, which is for the focused market. But your quality would be compared with the peers and the companies in the same neighborhood of you. I mean, neighborhood with respect to the price range. Let's say if your cell phones are priced about $50, you are compared with the other $50 range cell phones. So they have a certain level of quality, and what makes you stand out is that quality. It's I mean, the price is important, but if you're producing it to the level that is actually killing your quality, you have no chance. But what makes you stand out when there is all different similar, I mean, in the functionality, there are similar cell phones, what makes you stand out is the quality of the cover, the quality of the sound, the quality of the networking and everything. So this quality can give you competitive advantage in itself. So it's very, very important. That's why managing it and having a total quality management and having a quality which is better than other competitors in itself is competitive advantage. And cost of poor quality. So there is actually a dilemma. It's actually, the answer is already known, but a lot of times a lot of companies make this mistake, that they reduce the price to the level that they reduce the quality. So when, I mean, to a certain level, when you're producing your product to a standard level, acceptable to certain standards, which is let's say the minimum standards, that's okay because you're in that part of the market. But then every single chunk size of your quality that is reduced to save $1 or no matter how much money, you are incurring a much more cost than just saving that money. Means that you're saving $1, let's say. In order to sell your product $1 cheaper, your quality is reduced. And that reduction in quality is something that is not going to get, you cannot get by. It's something that is going to hurt you, because the cost of losing that amount of quality to save that $1 is not worth it. Why? because the maintenance that you have to incur later on, because of the damage it's going to put onto your image of the company, because of the complaints you'll get, because of the recalls you will get. You have to recall the products because they are full of problems. Because of all these, you have to incur much more than you save, so it's not worth it. I'm not saying that everyone has to provide the highest quality possible, but definitely highest quality possible within the range of the price and abilities and capabilities that your company has. So quality is really important. So competitiveness in the U.S. economy. So in every economy is important. Like in U.S. economy, quality has been a major decision factor for customers. So let's say Japanese cars are famous for that because of their quality. Like they have actually captured the U.S. market. There is at least a 50%, like out of 10, there is at least 4 or 5 Japanese cars running around in these streets in U.S. for a reason that they have had that quality concept established in the minds of Americans. So Americans think that Japanese cars are quality cars. Or European cars, like German cars, are pretty well established regarding quality. And then there are factors that inhibit competitiveness. So some factors, they stop competitiveness, they stop companies from being competitive. So those are also very important. Then comparisons of international competitors. As I mentioned, nowadays you're not just competing with the local market. You're competing with the whole, arrays of companies around the globe that offer same type of products. So you cannot just say, okay, I'm compared to the neighborhood, I'm fine, and so customers are going to buy my products, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose as your competitors are international competitors. They're competing with you worldwide. So you should lose out to a company that is selling their products from somewhere overseas. You never know. Then human resources in competitiveness. So human resources in competitiveness is also important. Like when it comes to quality management, we mentioned that the human resource approach, that the quality approach is a bottom-up approach, like everybody is involved regarding the inspiration, the teaching and education and training that is involved. All these are on the shoulders of human resource. So human resource has to take care of that. So we have characteristics of world-class organizations, management by accounting, antithesis of total quality, and then U.S. companies, global strength, and finally quality management practice in Asian countries. So basically, organizations have certain characteristics. As I mentioned, when you just consider yourself a local company, comparing yourself to the local market, there are certain standards and characteristics that you gotta have in order to fit within that category. But when you're comparing yourself world-class organizations, uh, the whole scenario is going to change because what matters is you are competing with companies with the world-class standards. And if you don't meet those standards, you are absolutely out and you will lose to them. You won't be able to compete and you won't be able to be successful. So basically, you need to follow those characteristics of a world-class organization. So your standards, your minimum standards have increased tremendously to a world-class standards. It might be way beyond the standards of your local possibilities, but you got to understand that your customers, local customers, have access to international and world-class organizations. So in order to be able to compete, you have to meet the requirements and minimum standards of the world-class organizations. So we have this concept of management by accounting and then antithesis of total quality. So the contrast of accounting versus quality. A lot of times companies consider accounting and saving money and cost and expenses something which should drive the company. So if you focus on the short-term cost that is involved, definitely a total quality management is a no-can-do for you because it is costly. The first thing you got to do is to spend a lot of money on education of your employees. You got to spend money on training, on different or something that enables you to interact, something that enables you to communicate. Like the staff have to be able to communicate with each other. So if you are going to take the accounting approach, you probably will lose and you won't be, most probably you won't be able to implement any total quality approach. So the contrast of whether to go for accounting or total quality is a big decision because in the short run, your expenses is going to increase a lot. But in the long run, if you apply a total quality management, you will be able to embrace all these different areas of quality, which actually saves you a lot of money in the long run. And then we discussed about global strengths and weaknesses of U.S. companies. So U.S. companies, they have a lot of strengths and they have some weaknesses as well. When we talk about global standards or world-class standards, there are certain features of products that are very important. The quality, let's say if you're providing the service, the quality of the service, the availability, accessibility, responsiveness, accountability, all these are really important for you. But when it comes to companies, some of them regarding their corporate culture, there might be major differences between an American company and like a non-American company. So some of the weaknesses is they have been previously they were not able to incorporate and embrace the culture, local culture of the region they're going to. That's why Walmart was never successful in Germany or let's say in some other countries in Europe until they realized the fact that the image, the corporate culture is very important to the Europeans. They came up with a new version in UK, which it actually encaptured a lot of you know, problems or I would say concerns of the British. So they changed the name, they changed the outlook, and they made it likable by a common or typical British person. That way, they managed to survive in the British market, different from like Germany. So as you can see, it was a shortcoming, and that caused them a lot of trouble. They learned it the hard way. They lost a lot of businesses, but finally they managed to, to survive. And then the final point is quality management practices in Asian countries. So some of the lessons to be learned from Asian countries, particularly Southeast Asian countries or ASEAN, is that they focus on total quality management. As I mentioned, Japan is the cradle of total quality management concepts. The whole idea is coming from their Kaizen approach, and it's predominantly used in their business as well. So the relationship between quality and competitiveness can be summarized as follows. In a modern global marketplace, quality is a key to competitiveness. So as I mentioned earlier, even when you're a low-cost company, when you're focusing on putting your cost as low as possible level, you still should be concerned about quality, because within that range of price, customers are going to compare your product with other competitors with respect to your quality. So quality plays a major role here. So the poor quality is going to be costly to you. So some of the cost is the waste, the rejects, the retesting, the rework, the customer returns, inspection, recalls, excessive overtime, pricing errors, billing errors, excessive turnovers. So just to go one by one. So first of all is waste. When you put your quality at a low possible level, it creates waste, because a lot of your products are going to be wasted because of the low quality. They're not going to survive. They're not even going to make it to the store so that they get to the customers. They're not. Your service is not going to be even going to get a chance to be offered to a customer because it's too low. Or rejects. A lot of times you sell a product, actually the whole transaction is performed, and the customer takes the product, but it's a bad product, and they reject it. Like if you're selling it to the suppliers have certain levels of requirements for products. If they see that it's not meeting their standards, they reject it. So when it's rejected, you have to spend money for retesting it. Then you have to rework. Your staff and employees have to work on it again to make it pass the retest. Customer returns, we were just talking about it, that customers are going to return your product. Then there comes the inspection. You have to inspect and see what's going on wrong. So the inspector comes, and the inspector is going to charge you, and that's another expense. Then recalls. A lot of times, like sometimes we have these recalls of the car industry, like certain cars like Honda and all that had it. Every car industry has this recalls, and those are really costly because you have to do them for free for the customers. You're still using your resources, and your staff are going to work, and you have to pay them, but the customer's not going to pay you anything because it's your mistake. And that will translate in excessive overtime. You have to keep your employees over time to be able to cover all these segments. Then pricing errors. There will be pricing errors. There will be billing errors. Excessive turnover. The turnover could be your customers who will leave you, your employees who is not going to stay there, and freight costs. Like when you're sending your parts and those parts are defective, you have to freight them and send them, and that's actually a very high cost. Development cost of failed products. So failed products are going to be costly to you. Field service costs, overdue receivables. Sometimes you are promised, you have already been paid for a product, and you're supposed to deliver those parts or products by a certain date. But then your quality and the retesting and everything happens at the same time. You will miss that due deadline, and that will hurt your earnings. You have to return the money. Customers are going to complain. You have to reimburse them with the money they paid because you couldn't deliver at the right time. Or at least you have to give them some discounts. So then planning delays happen. Like if your quality is just moving upward and downward all the time, you'll have delayed plannings and delayed paperwork, lack of follow-up. So you're not able to follow up to see what's wrong, what is right, and how to fix it. And excessive inventory, then your inventory will be full of products. Some of them are defectful, some of them are okay, but you're not sure. It might be not good enough. And then customer allowances, you have to allow certain discounts to customers because you're making all these mistakes, and you have a lot of unused capacity, a lot of inventory that you have, and it's not going to get a chance to go out and be sold to customers. And a lot of other issues happen. So let's pause here for a sec. I want to see if anybody has a question. Any comments or questions for me so far? Okay. So, the United States came out of World War II was only major industrial nations with its manufacturing sector completely intact. Germany and Japan were devastated by damage during the war. They rebuilt their manufacturing bases on assumption that to compete globally, they would have to produce goods of world-class quality. That strategy helped them recover and become world leaders in manufacturing. So going back to that world-class scenario, let's suppose for a sec that Japan and Germany, who are two major leaders in manufacturing industry, would just stick to their local businesses, which was almost gone. I mean, it was totally gone. Like, they had nothing left. They had to start from scratch. If they had put their standards at their local level, it would be so easy, right, to get back. But they would never, ever be able to compete with the U.S. at that time. And right now, they wouldn't be the global leaders in industry. So that's what we're talking about. Even like you might look at things right now where, let's say, at certain region of the world, like not necessarily the quality you're offering is that much of a matter. Like in your local market, it's pretty restricted, and compared to the local companies, you're doing fine, and you're going to be fine. But that is actually absolutely a delusion, because if it's not going to stay the same like that, you know, and when those restrictions are taken away, and when you are going to compete with the global companies, then you got to answer this question that what I have to offer compared to global companies that you never thought of. It was not even a concern to you. So you never get ready for that step, which will happen eventually. And it has happened to a certain extent, you like it or not. Like, even in very restricted countries, you'll see that the people of that country, they travel outside, they buy the products from the famous, manufacturers, even locally, a lot of imports and all that. But even if it's restricted, you're still competing with the global standard companies. Several factors can inhibit a competitiveness, including those related to business and government, and family and education. So there are a lot of factors involved that they stop and hinder your competitiveness. So it could be your government, it could be your family, or your education. So all of these could be some parts that are stopping you in quality improvement. So I have a comment from Ms. Marzia Mina that therefore no one support quality control here in Afghanistan. It's actually, by no one, are you talking to customers or you're talking about the companies? It actually is the opposite, I would say. Let's say you're a customer in Afghanistan and the level of service and quality of products are at a level that you're not happy. Who is going to benefit from a better service and quality? You as a customer, of course, will benefit, right? Because you definitely think you deserve a better service or quality as like companies, similar companies worldwide are giving similar, they are in the same line of service or business or even product, and they're giving far better quality of service or product to their customers. So consumers or customers definitely they think they deserve to benefit from that. So definitely they are for it, right? Now let's go to the other side, which is the producer side, which is the company side, which is the manufacturers, which is the service providers, which is the organizations, NGOs, or whoever is on the other side. Are they also going to benefit from this quality or not? There are two answers. The first answer is a short-run answer, and it could be no, because if they just want to look at it in a short run, yes, if they just keep doing what they're doing with the same level of quality, they will save money because they have to spend a lot of money to increase their quality, better their system, like the technology they need to buy is extremely expensive, so they have to spend a lot of money. So in the short run, it doesn't make any sense at all, probably. But, and it's a very important but, is that they're going to go out of business if they don't do that when they are competing with the global companies. And that's going to happen sooner or later. And it's already happened in a lot of industries, but it will happen eventually for all industries. As I mentioned, your customers who think they deserve a better quality of service or product, they will find ways of getting those products from the providers that are going to satisfy their expectations. So if you are not that person, if your company is not that person, you'll lose those customers the moment they get a chance. So in the long run, you will go out of business the moment that you are competing with the world-class economy. Interestingly, to answer your, to respond to your comment, it's true that the economy of the country is very much related to the quality. That's why we have these GDPs, like gross domestic product, that we discuss in our business economy, that it plays a very important role in the quality of life, quality of the services or products that the customers get. That is absolutely true. But the quality, there are certain drivers in the economy that can create that GDP. So in order to better the quality, the economy, it's like they work together. It's like if you have a low quality of product and service, you're not able to compete with global companies. And that's why you're not doing well, and that will bring your economy down. But let's run another scenario where your companies try to compete with the global companies, so that will create a very good level of performance, which is comparable to global competitors. That will boost up your GDP and GNP, and that will eventually help your economy, like the whole country's economy, better. So as you can see, they are interrelated. It's true that because the country as a whole is not doing so well, it's very difficult. But on the other hand, you as a company can help the country and the economy of the country go up. So, and as business decision makers, as managers, as MBA graduates, you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to make the changes, and those changes that you want to happen, you should be the change that you want it to happen. So you won't be able to expect changes just from the others. You should be initiating those changes. So by quality control, I totally understand what you're saying and where you're coming from, that yes, a lot of opposition will happen towards quality control, and the strict quality control is going to be put in place because it's hard and it's expensive and difficult. But in the long run, it's going to benefit everyone: the customers, the product service providers, the government, the economy, employees, and the managers, and everyone. So it's really hard, but at the same time it's rewarding. Same goes to this example of the World War II, where Japan and Germany, they were just ruined. They started from zero. It's like it was nothing. So that is absolutely something to consider, I would say. I hope I answered I responded to you, innovated. Yeah, good. But what you say is totally true, that it's going to have a lot of opposition. A lot of people will not like it in the beginning, and they're going to oppose it. That's very true. When making comparisons among internationally competing countries, the following indicators are usually used. So, going back to your example, standard of living, trade and export growth, and manufacturing productivity. So, when you're comparing two countries together, you compare their standards of living, how they export, how much they export, how much it is growing. I have this comment from Mr. Barak that he says that Japan and Germany, they had committed people. We don't. I mean, the commitment is not something in your genes, not something that you're born with. It's a decision. Commitment is a decision. So as the moment you make that decision, you can make that happen. The Japanese and German people had they not made that decision right after World War II, they were not where they are right now. So they made the decision and they just committed themselves to their decisions and they perform. And that is something everybody can do. It just takes responsibility and action. You know, you got to take action on what you promise yourself or your country or your company do. So going back here, we have the standard of living, trade and export, growth, and manufacturing productivity. This is how we compare countries. This is what is reflected on the GDP and GNP. The most important key in maximizing competitiveness is human resource. This is something that a lot of companies will forget. So a lot of companies think that they get the best technology, the best machines, and that is good enough. What else do we need? We just need the technology and we have it. So why aren't we successful? But they oftentimes miss a major part, which is human resource. That the humans are the staff, the employees are those who are running those machines. So those machines, of course, they are automated to a very high extent, but still, your staff are those who are running those machines. And if you're not able to utilize and actually involve your human resource, you're not going to be successful. Going back to the same World War II example, this was the only resource that Germany and Japan had to draw on. Consequently, they built an economic system that encouraged private employers to make business decisions and emphasize improved productivity and quality rather than price. Back to your comments, I have that they had the capacity and willingness to build their country. Yes, they did. Low cost is another issue that people prefer to low quality. That is true, Ms. Mina, but at the same time, as we discussed, even the low cost within that range, your quality is still as important, because your quality can't be below that standards. And if your quality is above the standards of that price range, it gives you competitive advantage, and that's what you're talking about. So you don't have to compete when you're a low-cost product. You don't have to compete with a very, very high-cost product. But with the low-cost product, within that range, you still need to meet the quality standards and exceed them to get a competitive advantage. Yeah. So we're talking about relativity. We're talking about everything is relative that you're talking. We're not talking about absolute terms. We're not saying that you have to produce only the 100% quality. That's impossible. You gotta do what you gotta do, but at the same time, you gotta be very, very concerned about your quality, because that's something that is gonna give you competitive advantage, or that's something that is gonna bring you down. So back here to this example, same to World War II, you see that the Japan and Germany, all they relied on for rebuilding everything was their human resource. So as you can see, the human resource is very, very extremely important. So participation in people contribution was so high after World War II. Yes, absolutely. It was so high that after they were done with their rebuilding, they were better than those that were just okay. They were determined to become better. They were determined to do something better quality, better service, everything. They wanted the best. And that's why they are where they are right now. So it says They wanted to increase and improve the productivity and quality rather than the price. So price, of course, comes with it. It's impossible. If you're not charging money when you're giving something to your customer, I mean, how would you survive? You definitely need to, charge the customer. You're not saying it's a known, it's a given that you have to charge the customer. You have to charge them reasonably so that you can survive. You can continue doing business. That's not even a question here. What we are questioning is if you become too over concerned about the price that you let go of other aspects of your business, which is your service, which is your level of quality of service, and then you will lose your customers and nobody's going to buy your products. Yeah, that's true that people really sacrifice individually, and it takes a lot of sacrifice. They have to be sacrificial. So we have a question here. What is more important for a producing company in terms of quality and quantity? Welcome and meet the demand of the customers. Well, to answer your questions, I got to tell you first, I refer you back to some of the concepts we have discussed in the previous courses we have had, like business strategy, marketing, economics. All these are going to be useful for the answer you want for this question. First of all, you need to know your strategy, the overall strategy that you have, like your vision, mission, and values. What is it that you want to be, and what is it that you are right now? What type of company are you? Then digging deeper into that. Are you a cost driver? Are you a focus driver? Are you focusing on quality? Or are you dealing with niche market, or you're dealing with the mass community products? So all these are going to be helpful in answering those questions. And then when you answer those, it will sort of narrow you down, and then you can get closer to the answer. And let's say if you are a mass community product, you're just creating a standard level of quality for as many customers as you can. You're not concerned about very niche market with a very high quality and all that. You just want a generic standard product that you want to send out. Okay? So as I mentioned, the first concern is you've got it, like previous sessions we discussed about monitoring the control. If you remember that chart, you got to first monitor, you got to check and see where you are right now. What is your quality? What is your quality level? You just need to know exactly where you stand. And so you design and control, and then you make the improvement, and you keep on controlling again, right? So one major consideration you gotta have is if you're meeting the minimum requirements for quality, and your price is almost the same as other competitors, why would a customer in his or her right mind will come and buy the product from you? I mean, what is it that you have that others don't have? And that, I would say, should be quality. Quality comparably, So if the minimum standards say this much quality, you got to be this much plus something quality. So that when you talk to a customer, you say, hey, Mr. Customer, I'm giving you this price, which is almost given by most of the product providers nowadays in the market. But what I'm giving you on top of that is quality, which is higher, and the customer can see that, and that's what brings you competitive advantage. Did I answer your question, Stephanie? Thank you. So, three major topics. We're talking about planning and execution for competitive advantage. This is a bit it goes back a bit to strategic management. What is a strategic management? Competitive strategy, core competencies, components of a strategic management, strategic planning, creative thinking, conducting the SWOT analysis, developing the vision. We discussed all these in our business strategy course, as you remember. Strategic management, how you manage your company, how you run your company with regard to strategic management. If you remember that, we discussed it. So you remember we said that it involves analysis, and you want to make sure that you analyze pretty well. All the steps involved in an activity. And then competitive strategy and competitive advantage, we said that a strategy that can give you the competitive advantage. A sizable number of buyers prefer your products over the offerings of others. So you're preferred by customers. And that will translate your core competencies in competitive advantage. Core competencies are those stuff that you do better than others. Then we discussed about the strategic planning. We want to have a plan, a strategic plan for our company that shows us a direction that where we want to go and how we're going to achieve it. And then creative thinking. What is the role of creative thinking in the strategic planning? How creative thinking is going to help us to improve and advance our strategic planning. So creative thinking is going to help us to think out of the box, be able to excel and outdo and better the other companies. When we do something, we think out of the box, we think it alter differently, and then we will end up doing it better. So creative thinking is important. Then SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If you remember, we discussed that in detail in business strategy course. And then finally, you develop a vision of where you want to go, your direction. So why are we discussing these with quality management? My question to you, who's going to answer that? Why is it important to have all these? What's the relationship between this and total quality management? Who's going to answer that? Who likes to answer? Who's going to volunteer to answer this question? What's the relationship of these topics to total quality management? Any comments?
Yes, for I think these are very essential factors in order to for this quality to have quality, good quality or product, or to have total quality. So these are essential. So we have to we have to follow all these things in order to have good quality products. So these are something related to quality, very much to quality control or quality products.
Okay, very good. But how do you relate them? Why are they necessary? Like, what is it? What's the benefit of having a strategic management or competitive strategy uh, to quality?
So to compete with our competitors in order to achieve the goal and objectives of the company or firm, uh, in order uh, to increase our customers and to provide to have strategic planning for I think it's very important for producing high quality products, and this another competitive strategy. This is also very important to compete with others.
Very good. Yes, that's true. Yeah, for having a good quality always helps you to compete and have competitive advantage, and all those SWOT analysis also helps you to, you know, to check your quality. Very true. Yeah, Mr. Akmal's comment, because all these topics and factors are the cornerstones for having competitive advantage and not competing with others. The true strategy shows the best ways to achieve the goals. And yeah, that's very true. Very good comments here. Yes, actually, the these topics are factors. They're part of competitive advantage, and if you want to have full quality management or quality as your competitive advantage, you got to follow these steps for it as well. And also, strategy shows the best way. Yeah, it shows the best way to achieve a goal, and also achieving a total quality management or quality control or quality, high quality. You got to follow these steps as well. Conducting SWOT analysis, evaluate how to start the quality control planning. Yes, you can use the SWOT analysis for quality control. It's actually a very, very good analysis technique, and it actually gives you a very good understanding of where you stand. So it's absolutely beneficial to quality management. So you plan the mission, where you are. It shows you what you do right now, developing the guiding principles, and developing the broader strategic objectives, developing the specific tactics, which is an action plan, executing the strategic plan, a real world case. Okay. So in order to make it more exciting, I want you to do a task right now. So the task is right here. So very briefly, I want you to do these steps. Develop the mission, develop the guiding principle, develop the broad strategic objectives, developing a strategic specific tactic or action plan, executing it, and a real world case. So I want you to give me an example of, keep in mind an example of a company and then develop a mission for it, then the guiding principles, and then the broad strategic objective, and then the specific tactics, how you execute it. I want it to be a real world case. So please take a few minutes to do that. We want to discuss it. So everyone, please just follow these steps. Don't have to be like a long essay. It's like a few sentences. Just I want to make sure that you understand the concept and you remember everything. So just follow these steps. First, a mission. It could be your own company or a company you work for, your organization, NGO, or just an imaginative company. What you need to do is just to follow these steps. Is that clear for everyone? Is that clear to everyone? Okay, so I'll give you a few minutes, then I'll come back and we'll discuss. You could either speak to the class and share it with us or write it down there. So whichever you do, just take a moment. First, think of a company. So without that, it's not going to work. Think of a company or organization. So when you are writing that mission, it should be for that organization or company. It's not just theories. We are talking about applicability of these theories. So think of that company and then start putting these steps into sentences for me. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, seems that there is no questions. It's fine.
Strategic planning and action.
So let's just start. Who's gonna start? Who's gonna do it first? Okay, we have Mr. Bart's answer. So the vision is the purpose of EM is to honorably serve the needs of agricultural livestock by providing medicines and services of high quality, cost effective, and environmentally responsible products to your customers. Very good. Mission is to strongly believe that it can produce high quality products at international standards with competitive prices and foundations. Mr. Hanson will be the first step toward economical development and industrialization of the country. Vision. You just copy and paste it twice. Vision and mission. Yeah. So we have the vision and mission, but what I need is other parts, like how about the guiding principles? How about the objectives? How about the tactics? And how do you execute the plan? Okay. Mr. Nazari, do you want to share with us your answer? Mr. Nazari?
Sorry, I didn't complete it.
Oh, okay. Take your time. No worries. Yes. I'll ask you later. Okay. So. Okay. Objectives from Mr. Black. Thank you. Objectives is to produce high production of quality medicines, livestock sector, to increase income of farmers through use of high quality medicine, very good, and prevent the death of animals of the country at the country level. To increase the level of agricultural livestock. You just copy pasted twice again. Job creation, strengthening the economy through paying taxes and encouragement of private sector, active participation and confidence and trust in yourselves. Yes. I mean the strategic, the guiding principles in the strategic management. It doesn't have to be wordy. It could be only one sentence, but I want to make sure that you remember that and you can apply it towards quality management, you know. So it's just a recap from the previous course we had together. Start now. It is about communication. Company in Afghanistan is one of the extensive mobile phones providing internet services. Because of their high quality vision is to maintain competitive advantage. The guiding principles are the principles that you will follow in order to perform the strategic management or the strategic planning. So the guiding principle, let's say you have a mission of becoming the biggest leader in the region of, let's say, Middle East. So in order to do that, you have certain guiding principles. Your guiding principles are those principles that you gotta follow and perform and oblige yourself onto them so that you can attain your mission. So it's one step before objectives. Guiding principles are those principles that are going to regulate you. Let's say you say our guiding principles to become the leader in the region is we are going to devote ourselves to contribute like 10 hours of work a day, like 8 hours of work and 2 hours of research at home. This is some guiding principle. Or ethical guiding principles, like every employee is going to have some ethical principles attached to, like being ethical regarding the customers. You never get any bribery or anything. You try to give due diligence to the customers, and whenever there is a need, you try to go above and beyond to perform and deliver the service. You the care, the promise of care, you promise to give the required care to the customers. You know, these are the principles that you want to oblige yourself to. So it could be anything, you know. So these are not the objectives, but those are the principles that you will follow. So if an employee follows these, it's like a guideline for them to be able to perform and make the company achieve their mission. So it's different from vision, but it's more of principles. Okay, thank you. Every day, rapidly expanding your services to all us who require. Themselves as their strategy. Very good. Okay. Who is going to share with us his or her answer? Mr. Akmal has answered. Sabarak. Yeah, that's true. Like extra commitments for better outcomes. That is a good principle. Okay, Mr. Nazari, are you ready to share your answer?
Still, I'm working on it, so I was.
Okay, just share with us to the part that you have finished. The rest you can send in by your email by tomorrow. But yeah, tell us what you have so far.
So about our organization or our projects, I'm working for the Ministry of Agriculture for one of the project which is funded by World Bank. So the mission of our project is to increase production and productivity. We are working in two sectors, horticulture and livestock. So developing the guiding principle. So we are doing increasing production and productivity by establishing new orchards and by rehabilitation of old orchards, and then of course providing extension services to the local community farmers and providing quality inputs and providing technical support and training. So for livestock, we also provide extension services for the livestock owners to increase their production, and for for the animal health, we established this veterinary field units. So right now we have more than 200 veterinary field units in different provinces and districts.
Okay.
Medical assistance and also treatment of the animals. So these are the for each sector and for each we have strategic objectives. So for objective we have certain for each objective we have certain activities how to achieve the objectives, and then we have action plan. So we have a monthly plan, for example, monthly seasonal training in different stage and different seasons. So we are following regularly those action plan in order to achieve objectives and goals of the project, and then we are executing all these strategic plan in order to achieve our goals and objectives, and then our mission. So these are the, sorry I couldn't complete, but I will work on it more.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for
You
sharing.
are welcome.
Okay. We have Ms. Masuda. The KSR designs, develops, and markets high quality services to customers. These services include providing Colombian coffee and kind of pastry products to their customers. The company has a small, medium, and high income customers in the town and has contracted stampers with some of the national and international companies providing coffee and pastry on their demand. Antithesis distinguished from competitors by their sophisticated interfaces, scalability, and ease of modification, and are extensively patented. Sales are made directly and through major distributions to the home in the home market and overseas. Very good, very, very good. Okay. Building guidelines, training of the core team of quality extensive activities. Very good. The mission, close supervision and monitoring can be part of these principles. This is good. Tactical alternatives are very clear have been established in the companies to prioritize these objectives and established items. In such an account for consider taking tactical objectives of our previous compound. Very well, thank you. Yeah, very good answers. I really appreciate your participation. I want you to read each other's answers also. You know, you can learn from each other. Very, very different type of answers, very practical, very useful. It's really good and very good sharing. I appreciate that. So please kindly go ahead and email me by tomorrow all these answers of yours, and it was a good recap as well, and as well as trying to apply to the you know, real case scenarios in order to see how applicable these concepts that we are dealing with are and how useful they can be. So I'm glad that you all remembered business strategy concepts, and also you can easily relate them to total quality management and quality control. So that is great. So very good answers, very good participation. Yes, I can. Let me just, I'll type it down here. So here is the question. You have it in the chat box. Okay, is there any question or comments before we conclude the session today? Any comments or questions?
Excuse me, this if you little bit can clarify this the last thing, which is what is it? This is strategic planning in action, a real work case. If you little bit, yeah.
So basically, a strategic planning in action is basically you'll tell us how it is a real world case. So mostly it goes back to the first prior 5 bullet points. It means that all these are how you are making it a real world case because you are using your examples, which are real examples. So you would say this is a real world case because it's planning. Let's say going back to the final examples we have here from Ms. Masuda. So that bakery, how would you relate it to the world case? Do you remember that concept we said that the world, you're competing with world standards? So you would say how this strategic planning is related to a world case scenario, where you're comparing yourself not just with local companies, but with world-class companies.
Okay, thank you very much. Now it is clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your participations and all the good sharings. You have a wonderful week, everyone, and I'll see you next week.
Okay.